This episode of The Adaptable Octopus contains discussions of suicide. While we approach the topic with care and respect, some listeners may find the content disturbing. If you or someone you know is struggling, we encourage you to seek support by calling 988. Please take care while listening. Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Adaptable Octopus. We have a special guest today, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Clarence McCray II, and I am a organizational consultant and psychologist and a resident in counseling at Life Stories Counseling in Virginia Beach.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate this. I want to talk to you about self-doubt. Maybe in ways we can talk about ways self-doubt has affected you and your journey to where you are now. And I'm going to let you just begin.
So my journey started in 1990 when I was diagnosed with Stargardt's macular degeneration. At that time, there was little to no hope for me, or so I thought. I graduated high school with 1.6, and I spent most of that time either in school suspension or in learning disabled classes because they didn't know what was wrong. You know, I can't fault them for that, but today things have changed quite a bit. Children get a lot more attention and care when it's needed. So after 1990, I floundered. I tried to join the military, got turned down, of course. I worked odd jobs that led me nowhere. In 2001, I attempted suicide because I didn't have any hope. In 2004, I left my job / lost my job at CB Fleet, and I went on full-time disability. At that time, I didn't realize that I had anything to offer the world beyond just, what I could do through my children. In 2007, I attempted suicide again. I came very close to dying. And I thank God that he saved me. Out of that, I met this counselor. I won't say his name, but I'll just say he was through light counseling. He offered me 3 sessions. That's it. 3 sessions, as we know, don't do anything. And so after that point, I went to school and I started at the community college taking 1+1 slot run. And I mean, just really going back to the basics because I didn't know them. At that time, I was also a single parent, and my son and I were sitting at the table doing the same homework, and he was in the 6th grade. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do. There was nothing I could think of that I wanted to do. And then God told me one day, he said, why not counseling? Why not be a therapist? And so several things lined up. A very special lady that at the community college that lied to me and told me I had to leave from the community college and go to a 4-year. And so I was pushed into the deep end of the pool in a room full of young people who knew more than me and didn't have the same challenges I had. And I doubted myself. And so on that journey, I learned that self-doubt is a killer. Self-doubt is a killer of dreams. It will destroy your hope, and it will destroy everything that you allow it to touch. And
Yeah. Do you remember what you told me the first time we met about just knowing your worth?
yes, I remember telling you that you have value and that you are worth everything, but you have to believe that. You are worth more than your weight in platinum, and you can do anything you want to as long as you set your mind to it. At that time, you didn't believe me though.
But now I am looking, we met like 3, 4 years ago, and my life has completely changed. I would never imagine myself sitting here on a podcast. So, life, you just have to believe in yourself and just encourage yourself. But the main thing of what I've learned is just to be present in the moment and focus on what you are trying to accomplish and not what is around you.
Right, right. So let me share this little story because most people don't know this about me. And I can share the link to this video if you want, so you can add it to the bio of this. But in 2014, I took some time off from school to go back to my love of BMX racing. Uh, most of my competitors didn't know I was legally blind. I went to the Grands that year. It's held in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I got third place. Uh, the only visually impaired person that I know that has ever done that. And it was a pivotal moment in my life because that was the fulfillment of a dream. And unless I had that experience, I couldn't tell you that I didn't doubt myself when I was up on that hill. I just asked God to make it so that I got around. He showed off and gave me third place, which to me was a big victory. I rode with what everybody else had, and helmet, pads, of course, and I just went for it. I mean, out of that lesson though, of the third place, the one thing I did learn, and so for most people who don't know about BMX, and I want you to think about this and apply it. You have 8 lanes on a track. Everybody starts at the same place, and you go over obstacles, and you got people that are going to be to your left, to your right, some ahead of you, and maybe some behind. If you turn left, you're going to have an accident. And look, if you're turning left and looking at what the next person's doing, you're going to have an accident. You turn right, you're going to have an accident. Look back, you're going to have an accident. If you focus too much on who's ahead of you, you're going to have an accident. BMX taught me that this race that we're in is an individual race. And we may not finish with everyone else, but we have to cross the finish line. And as long as you can do that, you're good. You won the race.
Or use any special equipment.
Mm. So my vision cannot be corrected. I use magnifiers, screen magnifiers, CCTVs, and other electronic gadgets that help me read, write, and just really understand the world around me. Sometimes it's challenging because I have to ask for help, and I don't necessarily dislike asking for help, but in certain situations, I need to do this on my own. And sometimes that means stumbling, and I do fall. Sometimes that means getting an F on a paper and understanding what my mistake was because I misread the instructions. But what I have to do is I have to get up and I have to dust myself off and I have to keep trying.
Thank you for sharing this encouraging story because I'm sure it's going to help everybody. I know it's helped me in my life. Um, and just can you share what difficulties it is because you don't have a visible disability? Like what challenges you face because your disability is not physical?
Sometimes, it's it's difficult to kind of gauge when those things happen. And I guess the one that stands out to me is when I was in McDonald's, and I don't use a blind cane often because I don't like the attention it attracts to me. But I was standing in line holding my cane, and the worker turns around and points to the menu.
we talked about how like my brain works. I'm just really direct and I have to use the littlest amount of words as possible. And sometimes that comes off rude or just arrogant. Have you ever faced anything like that?
You you have to, because what they don't understand is our disabilities are our superpowers. We have the ability to relate to the world in a totally different way than the average person. I know when I see things, I see them totally different than a sighted person would. And sometimes I have to touch it in order to see it. And they don't understand that the seeing of it to me empowers me to want to see more or do more or to understand what I just touched more. So I'll ask questions and sometimes they get offended. But in reality, I'm just trying to get a greater understanding, because the way I conceive the world is like a painting or a jigsaw puzzle, really. I have to fill in the gaps. And so that makes it different for me, but it makes the picture more beautiful.
Yeah, they need more education. More people like you and I, should share our stories. And we deserve to be understood.
Can, can I say something before we close? I want you to know how exceedingly proud of you I am. The courage, the thoughtfulness, and the desire to see other people thrive is a commodity that we don't see often in today's society. I want you in this podcast to be very successful and grow. If there's anything that I can do to assist you in this, please let me know. I'm I'm down for it. I'm willing to help.
Thank you so much. You've been invested in my life for years, and I cherish uh, your words, and you encouraged me in a very low time in my life. I am, look at me now, kind of like, could you imagine?
Look at you. Yeah.
And when you are going through a hard time and you're like, there's no way out, there is. You just got to believe in yourself and all that negative thinking, just get rid of it. Yes. I appreciate your time and your words of encouragement. I really appreciate it. And for all the listeners that send me videos of their progress, whether it be swimming or walking on your walker, for the first time. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Clarence, for being a guest.
Always.
Thank you and have a wonderful day. Remember to stay adaptable.
Thanks for tuning in to The Adaptable Octopus. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can listen on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you love to stream. And if you have a moment, leave a review or share the podcast with someone who might enjoy it too. Your support means the world and helps grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep adapting, keep thriving, and take care.